Round 2 of the NBA playoffs has started. What is Halliburton's dad doing, and what is the hardest sport to master? That and more next on Good Sports. Thanks for joining us. I'm Randy Good, and I'm also joined alongside Trent Sneed. We got Cameron Harkleroad, and we got Drew Good here. We're all here, and we're ready to go, and we want to thank you again for all the support. Please hit that subscribe button. If you're watching it right now, hit it, hit the bell, like, please add comments. We love it. We'll try to start adding more and more comments back or whatnot, but we do appreciate it, so keep doing that. We appreciate it, but we want to start off in the NBA. We are now in round 2. The Nuggets started off with a surprise win over the Thunder. Pacers also now have upset the Cavs 2 times as the game just ended as we recorded. We got the Knicks beat Boston. Which of those 3 series, who is the most likely to win the overall series? Or is it all a mirage and none of them will win?
I'm going to pick the one that no one's going to want to pick.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I'm picking Nuggets Thunder. And I'm telling you, Nuggets are going to win. I'm going to tell you, Nuggets are going to win. Listen, I said early in the season, SGA is the most fouled player I've ever met in my life. Yeah. I mean, he could literally do anything with the ball, and they call a foul for him every single time.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that's okay in the regular season. But as we saw when the Warriors played the Rockets, these refs are letting them play. And the Nuggets are a physical team.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon's a physical defensive player.
Yeah.
Shout out the game winner last night.
Yeah, shout out to the game winner, too. He has 2 game winners now in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like at the end of the day, this Nuggets team is such a mess, man. They are such a mess. They don't have a coach. The Joker feels like he doesn't even want to be there half the time.
He doesn't.
He never does.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Right now, he looks disengaged. They've been in the playoffs, and they've gone deep multiple years. They have no coach.
But Russell Westbrook's kind of having a little bit of a return. You know, he's playing pretty good.
And he wants it.
I mean, he's playing a lot better than he was playing other places. We'll just say that.
He's a
right?
talented player and always has been.
Yeah. But when he was in LA for a while, oh my gosh. It was like him scoring 2 or 3 points was a miracle. You know? So he's playing really good though.
Yeah.
And they just have an all-around talented team. And you know, it might be really ugly how they do it, but they seem to just keep doing it.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Nuggets team, this is the one that a lot of people aren't going to pick because the Thunder is a very, very talented team. They're young, but they're very talented. And I just feel like the only difference maker for me is I think the Thunder probably win this series 9 times out of 9. If it was a regular season game, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a playoff game,
and
they're going to let these guys play, and I think the Nuggets are a physical team. So give me the Nuggets.
Nuggets. Okay.
I'm going to say Nuggets and give me 6. I'll give 6.
And you think that will happen?
Yeah, Nuggets are going to win.
Okay. Do you think? What do you think about the Cavs?
I don't know how they're down 2-0
They're
right
down
now.
2-0.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Tyrese Halliburton's he's a ball player, right? Yeah. He's a ball player.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. But that Cavs team is no slouch either.
Now they're going back to Indiana.
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell's a great basketball player. And he kind of feels like the savior for Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of people in Cleveland ever thought they'd be back in the playoffs after LeBron left.
Right.
Not this quick.
Not this quick, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the Pacers are kind of a similar team to the Thunder. They don't maybe have the star that SGA is, right? SGA is a superstar, right?
Yeah.
And Tyrese Halliburton's a really good basketball player. Is he a superstar necessarily? That's still to be decided. I don't know if I'm there yet with him.
Well-rounded game. He does multiple things well.
I just don't know that I'm there yet, right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's not possible of it, right?
Okay. All right.
But they're also another young basketball team.
Yeah.
And they're very, very talented, but is that youth going to be an issue? Obviously not. They're up 2-0 on the Cavs, which is another younger basketball team that's very talented. Donovan Mitchell's had his time in the league, obviously, so he's pretty well-rounded. But It's going to be a good matchup, and I don't know how Cleveland's going to pull themselves out of this, but we also kind of said that about Houston when they were down 2-0, and they made some strides right back too and gave the Warriors a little bit of a struggle down the road. So,
do you think the Knicks have a chance? They're up 1-0 as of the time we're recording this. Do you think they have a chance over Boston?
Everybody's got a chance. Everybody's got a chance. I don't know how they won this first one. I mean, obviously I know how they won it. They won in overtime.
Yeah.
But
They did.
This is the issue. That Celtics team is so deep.
They're stacked.
Coming off a championship, so deep. They know what it takes to win.
And the Knicks don't have a deep squad, and they run their players into the ground.
Yeah.
So as the series goes on, it seems hard.
Yeah.
So you would say Boston?
I think Boston's going to win that one.
So I'm going to go to Cameron. Cameron, I want to know what you think. You've got this Pacers team is now up 2 going back home. Do you think they'll get the Cavs in the series, or do you think the Cavs will come back?
I love Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is one of my favorite, one of my most favorite players of all time. But I think that the Pacers were kind of just in general the biggest sleeper in these playoffs so far. And I think they have a real chance to make it further than we all expected. I can't see either of these teams actually making it to the finals. But I definitely think the Pacers have a chance to get to the semis. When it comes to the Nuggets...
And no one gives Miles Turner and Aaron Nesmith the props they deserve. Those are 2 amazing basketball players.
I think Miles Turner's a free agent this year, and he's going to get a lot of money because he does a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's a very good defensive player.
Yeah.
If I have to see that pasty, drunk, oversized troll play in another basketball game this season, I think I'm going to lose my mind. I don't ever want to see Jokic step on a basketball court or hold a basketball for the rest of my life.
So you're not paying to go watch him?
No, I will never.
He's not on your Mount Rushmore?
If I saw Jokic in real life, I would walk into a supermarket, pay $28 for 12 eggs, and beam the top of his head with every ounce of strength in my body.
I will say I did see this thing.
Why?
Because I hate him. He's the worst thing to ever happen to NBA basketball.
That is probably the truth.
And there are people that have killed people that have played NBA basketball.
No,
and
that's
I would
actually
much rather watch them play.
He's the worst thing
He
for
is
NBA
absolutely the worst
No,
thing
that's
to
actually
ever
probably
happen
true. That's
to
actually
NBA
probably true.
basketball.
That is insane.
No, if you think about it, Randy, he told the rest of the world that you don't have to be an athlete to play basketball.
Yeah.
You could just be a lumbering 7-footer. He drinks beer and smokes cigars for his daily, that's his workout routine.
Yeah.
In the 80s, they all were on Coke.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Coke is a.
I'm not talking the drink. Okay.
Coke's an upper.
Yeah,
Okay.
Coke is definitely an
All
upper.
he does is downers.
Okay. All right. So you're not.
Can't
I'm
stand
gonna.
that
I'm
dude.
gonna guess you're not big on the Nuggets right now.
No.
Okay. All right. Boston Knicks. Right now, Knicks are up 1-0.
Kevin's just about to go back in.
We gotta move you through
Oh,
the.
dude.
Hopefully.
No, you moved him right to Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum is like
He's
those
one of-
dolls that you see at the supermarket that you can say something to them and they repeat it back in a grainy, annoying child's voice.
It's like fingers
Jason
on a
Tatum
I love you.
has never had an original thought in his entire life. He just tries to be someone else all the time. He is the epitome of cornball. He whenever I see him
Cornball is
open
such
his-
a funny acronym.
whenever I see him open his mouth in an interview or a post game, my skin starts to crawl and my teeth itch because it's just so cringe.
My teeth.
It's the worst thing ever. I hate it.
All right.
I would rather watch Ben Simmons shoot 100 threes than watch Jason Tatum do an interview. I also just really, I'd much rather watch the Knicks play.
Okay, so you're gonna go with the Knicks. Now
Yes.
I have a question
That's
for you,
powerful.
Cam, because
What's
I have
up?
a follow-up.
What's up?
You have to do a 30-minute interview, and you have Jason Tatum or you have Jokic, and you have to pick one.
Yes.
Who would you pick to
I
do
would-
an interview with?
I would pick Jokic.
Okay, the pasty
And I would
alcoholic.
I would just ask him about horses because at least he knows about horses.
Hey, horses.
I don't think he could answer a single.
least he's
I
real.
don't think he could answer a single educated question about basketball.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually understands how that game works. He just sees ball, hoop, put it in. I don't think he understands any concept of it. He has 4 brain cells, and all 4 of them are focused on the 4 legs of his horse at home. And whether or not
One
they can
per
move
leg.
up and down the track.
What does this say about the NBA? Because he's dominating his position. Dominated. What does this say about
The center
NBA?
position has always been filled with the dumbest players to ever play the game.
I think
i.e.
this
Shaq,
is the true.
i.e. You can tell I played center in high school.
Steven Adams.
No, Steven Adams is actually like a really good guy.
Kelly
Like,
Olynyk for
good
sure.
Kelly Olynyk,
He
yeah,
was
that
an
guy.
idiot.
If he didn't make it to the NBA, you would see him on the corner at 7-Eleven. Kelly Olynyk sketches me out.
I love how we're just talking mad trash about Nikola, and he scored 42 points last night.
Yeah, he's like killing the league.
He could score 103.
Triple-double.
I'd still not be excited to see him.
Okay,
play.
side note. I saw this thing the other day, and it said, "Do you think anyone will ever score 100 points in a basketball game again?"
Yes.
I think so.
No,
No, I think so.
no, I don't.
No, I think so.
Okay.
Kobe scored
You
81.
want to know? You want to know why I think someone will score 100 points
Because
in a
of
game?
the 3-point line?
No, because less and less people care about defense.
That's true.
And pretty soon it's just going to be all-star
score the
games
most?
24/7 where there's 0 defense and only offense.
Yeah.
So this is before you guys watched, but there was a team back, and sorry, it was the Nuggets. Okay, so, but they.
I have no hate towards the
Well-
Nuggets as an organization.
Just their
I
center.
just hate.
Their center. Got
I
it.
hate the frosty giant, the
So-
snowman.
So
He
the
is a
Nuggets
snowman.
used to by Paul Westphal was the coach, and he had a run and gun offense. And I think the most the highest scoring game was Detroit, and it was like 181, 178. And the philosophy was no defense, take the ball out of bounds. You had people at the 2 hash marks, and it was pass, shoot, pass, shoot. And they tried to get a shot up in 4 or 5 seconds every time. If you had somebody try to implement an offense like that again, I could then, and you have a proficient scorer, it could happen. Because you have to get the ball up and down the court. And you're right, with the defense, the way they play defense now, it's not the same. The hand checking rules aren't the same, and the 3-point line has changed. So maybe it seems hard, but possible. Possible. Okay, let's move on. The actual series we didn't talk about yet is, I think, the one must-watch series. It's the Warriors, and you got Steph,
It's live right now, buddy.
and you got Ant-Man, and the game's on right now.
21-20.
Okay, so
Dubs.
who do you have winning this series? Not want. Who do you think will win the series? Come on, Trent.
Man, this
I
is
know.
hard. This is hard. Anthony Edwards
Is a different guy.
is a different breed of
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
But I think the
I love
kryptonite that'll always be his. The problem that'll always be his kryptonite is I think sometimes he really wants it, and sometimes he's all right. You know, like he has these moments where you're like, I think he would probably kill a whole family in a village to win this basketball game. And then he has some nights where I'm like, he doesn't have a bone to pick with that specific player. Or
He
that
needs
specific
somebody
team.
chirping in his ear to get him mad.
He needs it, yeah.
to
And like
fuel
when
him.
he was playing LeBron, I had no doubt that Anthony was going to win that game
Yeah.
because you know every single person's in his ear saying, "LeBron doesn't believe in you. LeBron is the GOAT."
Yeah.
You know,
Don't you think he's feeling that way with Steph though?
No.
I've seen
Really?
I've
See,
seen
I just think-
interviews
Oh, man.
that he's done
Because Steph's
And-
so nice.
and
or
little
something?
little like tidbits. He has a deep competitive nature with LeBron because he's constantly seen as the greatest basketball player of all time.
Okay.
And Anthony Edwards wants to be that guy.
I see.
But he has like the utmost respect for like if he had to pick anyone that he respects the most in the league, it's Steph Curry.
And
so,
he has a huge respect for Steve Kerr. He actually had a huge respect for Steve Kerr before he got drafted in the NBA. And then he played on the USA Olympic team, which Steve Kerr coaches, and gained even more respect for him. I guess where I'm kind of at is I'm in the questioning phase of, do I think Anthony Edwards is going to go out there with that killer mentality? Because if he's not, he's going to lose these games because he is his team. There's no one coming to save him. It is him and him only. If he wants to get home, he's either going to have to walk himself or steal a car, right? There's no one coming to save Anthony Edwards. It's all on him.
From a scoring standpoint.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to say at this point in time, as we're recording this, I'm looking at the score. It's 25-20.
Yeah.
Stephen Curry has 13 points.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards has 0.
Wow.
No.
He is 0 for 6 and 0 for 2 from the 3.
Wow.
They're going to lose this first game.
Yeah.
Based on that trajectory.
Well, we'll see.
But
we'll see.
I think that Anthony Edwards is how I was in middle school when I was playing football. He runs really, really fast for about 20 yards, and it's really cool. And then he's got nothing left in the tank. And I think he's quick to overextend himself. And then once he runs out of steam, that's all he's got. Because he's young, he's inexperienced. And I think that puts them at a disadvantage to the Warriors, who have been here just about their entire careers. They basically live in the playoffs. And I think that is going to be a major advantage when it comes to this series.
So do you both have
Warriors? I think I'm going to take the Warriors.
Okay.
But I think the Warriors have to do it quick.
Yeah. No, it can't. It can't go game 7
because they don't.
If he
have
gets
the
any momentum,
longevity.
If he gets any momentum,
well, they're already burnt out because of that 7-game series with Houston.
Yeah,
they're already tired.
Yeah, I think Draymond Green in this game already has 8 points, which is like I don't know,
big deal for him.
Playoff high in the last 5 years for him already, but I think that long series is going to be hard for them. And I think Anthony Edwards is already sitting there. I love the way, if you watched him as soon as he beat the Lakers, did you see him walking outside Staples and everything? He's talking smack and he's like, "Yeah, Lakers."
I'm surprised.
Lakers in 5.
I did see that.
I'm surprised you like Anthony Edwards after he smacked your team like that.
Listen, what I like.
He's like.
This is what I like.
He's like Black Larry Bird.
No. Watch yourself. He's not that. What I like about
when it comes to smack talk, he's definitely Black Larry Bird.
No, he definitely up there.
Yeah. Oh, he is.
No, I mean, do you know anyone that talks smack like him?
Oh no, he definitely talks
do.
smack. What I like about Edwards is, especially in this era where players are spoiled, they make a lot and they don't try hard. That dude in the second quarter, 2 minutes to go in game 18 of the season is trying hard. And I like him. I like his effort and I like his heart.
I don't think anyone
really
in here
him.
doesn't like Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. I know.
If I had to say who would I want to be the future face of the NBA, it's Anthony Edwards.
That's who I think.
That's who I would want to be the future face of the NBA.
Oh, let's talk about that. Let's go forward with that. Because one of the things to advance that, you had LeBron and Luka, and the Lakers are out. You have the Greek Freak is out. You have others. If Steph would have been out, I think the NBA playoffs would have been taking a major beating, ratings-wise.
I mean, they already do.
They already do. But with Steph, that's going to at least get another big following, at least one more round, maybe more. It made me think, we talked a little bit about this last time on the show, but when LeBron and when Steph retire, is there players that can take the mantle and actually bring the NBA forward, or do you think it'll slowly decline?
Not in the same way.
Not in the same way, no.
It's going to feel different for us because the players right now that are going to become the quote unquote face of the NBA are going to cater more towards the younger audience. Like LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards and John Morant, those players tend to trend more with the younger age groups.
Yeah.
Even like my age group, Gen Z, like they're trending more in that group because, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm the same age as Anthony Edwards. He's maybe like a year older than me. So it's just like, it's one of those things where it's kind of a peer level thing.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm looking right now and I'm thinking, okay, you have
He's 23.
yeah, he's a year older than me.
so you got Magic.
What am I doing with my life?
You have back in the day Julius Erving, Magic, Bird, and then you had Michael Jordan and you had Charles Barkley. That next group that kind of took the torch, and there's quite a few players, but then you have Kobe in there that helps bridge the gap, and LeBron. Like, who do you think there's any of those players in the NBA right now that are going to be on those levels?
Not to the same extent, no.
I don't
I think
see
the
it.
problem the NBA has is the players that really the players that my generation fell in love with were the ones that were the shock and awe. And that, like, your Derrick Roses, right?
Yeah.
Your Russell Westbrooks, too. Like, when Russell Westbrook was first in OKC by himself and they all left him, those
pick.
were, like, the best things ever, right?
Yeah.
But those type of specific players just don't last in the NBA.
Yeah.
And my generation fell in love with them.
Yeah.
So now my generation fell in love with people who just won't ever be a face of the league.
Yeah.
Because they wear themselves out too quickly. A player who is 6 foot tall or 6'3" that does nothing but run to the basket and try to dunk it every single time is amazing to watch. It's so entertaining, but it is so hard on your body.
Yeah.
It is so hard on your body.
It's like running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
They're the most exciting players to watch on the field, but they're done after, 10 years.
Think of like prime Ezekiel Elliott. Man, we fell in love. I'm sorry.
I love Zeke.
I never ever liked the Dallas Cowboys, but prime Zeke was so entertaining to watch. That guy was an animal, right? But it lasted like 2 years, maybe 3 if you put a stretch on it, right?
You know who's the most exciting? Like, who was the most exciting to watch? That like died like that.
Who?
Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley the third. Also, I saw this stat the other day. He is the third most touchdowns of any running back since 2010. Still, he has not played an NFL game in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was a lot of people don't respect Todd Gurley for the fact that he was a big boy.
No,
He was a big boy.
He's a big
when we
dude.
think of big running backs, we think of our LeGarrette Blunts, stuff like that.
Leonard
Todd Gurley
Fournette.
was a big boy.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just think our generation fell in love with those very specific type of basketball players, and they just don't last.
No, it's a different style, a different game too. I think we've talked about this before, but the 3-point shot has made the game less desirable. I think attacking the rim isn't the same as it used to be because the game is so perimeter. And I think the money that they make is so insane that the work ethic. I'm sorry, you get a kid 22 years old and he's on almost his second contract and he's already worth $250 million. It's hard to think there's going to be too many players that are going to play like the LeBrons and whatnot now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
That guy's probably the hardest working young basketball player in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
He's worth $50 million. What was his contract for? 500 million?
Yeah,
was it
Something like that.
Yeah,
$500 million?
You're talking $500 million.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, and
that's insane.
But even him at times, I'm like, I saw you take that play off.
Yeah. I don't think he takes as much off as most people, too.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I think he's the peak of what young talent is.
Yep. So I don't see it either. I think they're going to it's going to be a slow decline.
But you know what I think about also is I guarantee you people 30 years ago or 20 years ago were having this exact same conversation when Michael Jordan retired.
Yeah, probably.
Who's going to be the face of the league? There's no one in the league right now that can take his place. There was Kobe, but he was pretty young. probably saying the same things about Kobe that we are about Anthony Edwards. And then with LeBron saying the same things about him.
I
Now
think
we're here.
You never know.
Yeah,
that
you have no idea.
There's a junior high kid out there right now saying it's going to be me.
Yeah, exactly. You have like Cooper Flag.
Yeah, Cooper Flag.
Like
bad
that dude's gonna be a dog.
That man's a bad saltine, dude. He is a bad cracker.
I don't think he's going to be that guy. He's going to be good.
Randy,
I don't think he's going to be the next Michael
he is
Jordan.
young.
He's gonna be the Cooper
You-
DeJean.
Put
of the
me down,
NBA.
Randy,
Put
you
me
don't
down
understand.
for not
Randy,
Mount Rushmore.
He shouldn't even be in the college
I realize
basketball.
high school.
He
Yes.
should be in high school still.
He's going to be
And
really
he was
good.
laying it down.
He was leading Duke.
Listen, you don't even believe yourself that he's
You know what's the
Mount
great?
Rushmore.
What's the greatest college basketball program of all time?
Duke.
Yeah. Okay.
North
The
Carolina.
leading scorer
Not North
of the
Carolina.
greatest college basketball program of all time
He wouldn't even go.
was a kid that wasn't even old enough to be in college.
Who would be on Mount Rushmore for Duke? Would he be on the top 4?
I mean, it was his first year. Give him a couple.
I know, but I'm
Jeez.
just saying he's not even on the Mount Rushmore. You nonsense. But he's going to be on Mount Rushmore of the all-time
do you
greats.
think,
If
do you
he
think
could
Jason
next year-
Tatum makes the Duke?
Oh
Mount
yeah,
Rushmore?
probably.
Maybe. I don't know. Duke has
They have some
th-
stars.
that is
That's
a
dogs.
impressive. Them in North Carolina. I mean, you put an all-time starting 5 with those two teams, and
I'd rather have a Texas All-Star.
Michael
starting five.
Tay House.
Yeah, I think they would take Tejas and beat him down badly. I think Michael
know.
Jordan. But anyway,
You think do I leave college, Michael Jordan?
But I was gonna say this. I do feel like it takes away from the NBA a little bit that they can't bring kids straight out of high school anymore.
I know it does.
Because think about
Are
Cooper
you glad
Flag.
they do that though?
No,
No,
because think of like
I am.
Cooper
Stupid.
Flag.
I know.
Cooper Flag would have went straight to the NBA,
Yeah.
and everyone would have been like, "He's not even old enough to be out of high school, and he's gonna play in a NBA basketball
so
game."
Here's
a freshman.
Yeah,
here.
I mean that would have been, or like Zion Williamson. He didn't get
Can you
fat until he
imagine
was
Zion
in college.
out of just straight out of high school, dude. He probably wouldn't have gotten fat.
He
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have. He would have been with NBA scouts almost instantly. They would have got his weight
But
figured
instead,
out.
So-
he went to Duke.
So why do
found
you
out
why do
the
you guys
college-
think they got rid of that rule?
He found out the Duke
I'll
cafeteria
tell you
was
why
open
they got rid of
24
that rule.
hours.
They got rid of that rule because and it is a shame because it's a shame not to have a Kobe or a Kevin Garnett or a LeBron James coming straight into the league. The problem is it's 1 out of 10 that were successful at it, and so many teams were taking number 4 pick, the Telfairs, all the Miles. There's a million picks that went. They were all coming out of high school, and almost all of them flopped.
Okay.
and so
Whose fault is that though?
well,
You know what the difference is
it's
now,
because
though?
they're guessing, and in the NBA, one of the
They're
problems.
still guessing when it comes to college
But-
too.
Yeah, that's true.
The percentages change as a kid grows, and so you're really, really, really projecting as a freshman. Even a lot of these rookies, very few. Even Kobe didn't have a killer first year. There's very few rookies that come in and dominate in the league, and so it takes a while. Oftentimes, NBA teams will have their whole rookie contract. They play on their whole rookie contract before they actually do much. And it's the second contract where they have to pay them a bunch of money before they're really main contributors. So I don't know that I don't like necessarily the rule because I think, I'd like people to have the opportunity, and it stinks for those stars, but they did it for a reason because when they're so young, the physicality, playing 82 games. In high school, you play 20 games, and you're going into – so in college, there's a bridge of maybe 30, 31 games, depending on how you're doing, and now you're focusing as an athlete in a different way than a high school kid. So I understand why they did it, but the failure rate was way worse.
Yeah, but do you think the failure rate would be as bad today when we have like IMG Academy, for example? You've heard of IMG, right?
Yeah, what
Okay.
about it?
Well, IMG is literally like it's
It's because we have so much
You're talking AAU basketball.
No,
we have
He's
basically-
talking.
IMG
basically
Academy is a vocational school for high schoolers. It's
Yeah.
in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And it's a school that the tuition is like $100,000 a year, and you can send your kid to IMG Academy. And like every kid who plays sports at IMG usually goes to the NFL, NBA,
I'm
all
gonna
that
be
stuff.
honest though, who was the last dude out of IMG that went to the league?
Oh, there's like a lot of really good ones here. Let me
Because
pull
like
it
the
up.
last dude I remember going to IMG was Mikey Williams, and that dude just signed to or just committed to like some
I think
tiny college.
sorry, I should be more specific.
You know what school is like actually doing good stuff right
See, a lot
now?
of football players is what I've got pulled up.
The Overtime Academy.
Zach Edey.
Zach Edey did go to. Yeah,
yeah.
but then he went to college.
Yeah. He didn't come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Green, Cavante George, Jet Howard,
A lot of football players that just
Torrin
got
Green,
drafted.
Traven Duvall,
Yeah.
point guard for the Bucks.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff can help, and I think certain, that they play so much with AAU basketball and they travel and the McDonald's All-American team and all that kind of stuff. It's still, guys, there are athletes still growing even in college. So it's just hard. It's hard, and it sets teams back big time when you finally get your player and you don't even know if they're any good.
What if?
4
Okay,
years
hear me
in.
out.
Yeah, but
Crazy
again, whose fault
concept.
is that?
Crazy concept.
What's that?
What if they gave out one lottery pick a year to an NBA basketball team? It's not a part of your standard picks. It's one lottery pick. They put all the balls in a wheel. They spin them out. They drop one down. That team gets to pick one kid from high school.
Oh.
That would be crazy.
But would that
You know
water
what-
down the league, though?
You know
No,
what?
that would go crazy.
So
You know
they
what
did
they
get
could do?
13
Fans?
players?
What?
Did they get 13 players? So they're not going to do that because they don't want to take away from college.
You
So
know
they
what
won't
that
do it.
could do,
It'd be
though?
fun though.
It would be wild.
You know what
Listen,
they-
the fans would go crazy.
You know what they should do though is they should let high school players go straight to the G League.
See, that would make sense
Yeah.
if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
If they really didn't want to
You
attend to a
can play
college.
professionally.
You have to play professionally in Europe, and you can
Europe,
come
yeah.
back to
Yeah.
the NBA. But no
I mean,
one
that's
ever
what
does
LaMelo
that.
did.
Problem about the Europe thing is no one ever comes back from Europe.
Melo did.
Well, yeah, Melo is 1 out of 5 million.
It
You
can
know
happen.
why it would be crazy though if you did something like that? It's because if let's say you're a Miami Heat fan, which I am, right?
Yeah.
And we got the lottery to pick a high school player.
Uh-huh.
You know, every Miami Heat fan across the country would be calling the Miami Heat office, being like, "I got the kid for you. He's in high school down in San Antonio, Texas. He's 6'8". He can play like no other, right?" And like all the Heat fans would just go crazy about trying to get that one high school player because it's just like you said, it's not simple
Yeah.
to find a high school player that's gonna be the great, right?
Right.
But how crazy would that be? I mean, you're the only team. Your
It'd be
fans are going to
bananas.
be literally searching.
Yeah.
Your fans are going to be searching
That would
for
be-
that one player.
I mean, it would be fun. It would be fun.
Yeah.
It would be fun. Okay. Well, I want to talk about this week. Following the Pacers win. You have John Halliburton, dad, comes out onto the court with a poster, and he is taunting Giannis, the Greek freak, right at midcourt. I wanted to hear what your guys' thoughts are. I thought it was bananas. I can't believe he did it. Halliburton said his dad was obviously in the wrong or whatnot. I love his passion. I love his support for his son. But holy cow, he's lucky Giannis didn't send him into next week. It doesn't look like he is allowed to for the foreseeable future. So the NBA didn't do anything. They're letting the Pacers do it. So John is not coming to any games, home or away, for a while. What were your thoughts when you saw that, Trent?
I don't know.
Can you imagine your dad charging and
so
and
hard.
having a poster up?
This is why I think it's difficult, and I feel for Tyrese, right?
Yeah.
Why it's difficult is like my dad does things today where I'm like, you can't do that, Dad. You know? And this is the thing is I'm not his dad.
Yeah.
He's my dad.
Yeah.
I can't tell him not to do that.
Right.
He's my
you
father.
can. You can.
I mean, I can, but I gotta say it like a son, not
Yeah.
like I'm your dad, right? Because he's my dad. Doesn't make any sense. It's a
my.
real reverse psychology. Listen,
Yeah.
when we were going through a hard time in this country,
Yeah.
okay, my dad would post something, and I would have to call him and be like,
Can't post that, Dad.
"Hey, pops, you have a job.
Do me a quick favor.
Like, you have a job. You can't post that, brother." And I was like, "Not only that, but if anyone pulls up my account and somehow gets to your account, I'm not getting a job." I'm like, "You can't put that on there." And like he's just being him,
Did he ever delete anything?
Oh
for
yeah,
you?
he always deleted it.
He's
He always went, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have put that. And you go back and delete it,
Oh, he's beautiful.
And listen,
I
this is
love
the
that
thing,
guy.
is I love my dad. He's a
Yes.
fantastic human being, and he's
Yes.
never meant harm to anyone.
Yeah.
If you know my dad, he is the kindest person you ever
Yes.
meet, right?
Yes.
And he has never meant harm to any person, no matter race, color, background, community, culture, right? But he doesn't understand that, like, things he might have said in the day, you just can't say that anymore, right?
Yeah.
You just can't say that. And it's not necessarily that it's a derogatory term.
Yeah.
It's just that the way in which he portrays it, it's just not something it's not how we accept it today, right?
Sure.
And here's the deal. He doesn't understand. Like, it doesn't compute in his brain, Love him to death.
He's not into this woke,
Love him to death.
sensitive,
Yeah.
world
So
we live in.
all I'm
Good
saying for
him.
Tyrese, he probably feels terrible about the situation because it's his dad, know, and he loves his dad. And I'm sure his dad's probably a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyrese is a great guy. If you ever seen Tyrese on interviews and stuff like that, he talks like an upstanding man, right?
He's the only guy that smiles in all the pictures.
Yeah.
He's like the happiest dude.
Okay, so Cameron, how would you feel? You're in a high school game. Okay? Let's just say it's the district championship. You're going to state.
Yeah.
Your dad comes barreling out onto the court with a poster of maybe you right in the face of your rival, Jokic. What would you think if you looked over and saw your dad doing that right in the face of 6'11" Greek god, Greek freak? What would you think?
It would depend on how I performed in said game.
So you just
if I
won.
performed like Halliburton in that game, I would
let it ride.
Let
it ride.
I would probably take my phone out and record it and be like, yo, shout out dad. Because like that,
Terrible.
because he's doing the thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
Because if I did it, I would start a fight.
Right, and get suspended and all that kind of stuff.
But my dad does it. My dad just can't come in the stadium anymore.
See, this is what I'm
watch
wondering.
from home.
I'm thinking,
Which is what he really wanted to do in the first place.
I think Tyrese is sitting there going, oh, this is embarrassing, but this is so awesome.
Yeah,
and he can't say it, but
Yeah.
he's like, I hate it, but I also love
Tyrese,
it. 'Cause
yeah.
You're doing what I wish I could.
Yeah, exactly. Tyrese's dad is doing what all of us wanted to do, which is call Giannis a bum.
Yeah, that's factual.
I mean,
That's
after
He's a bum.
He
after
is a bum.
2021, he's kind of become a bum.
I don't know what happened to him,
It
but
went straight to his head. He had like a
he's
whole,
more Greek and less freak now.
at least on the court, he's less of a freak. I don't know if you've ever seen his Instagram.
Oh no.
Okay, well, anyway.
I will say, listen, this is Magic Johnson's take. I really like this. He said, I didn't want to comment on it because I like Tyrese Halliburton's father, John Halliburton, but sometimes our emotions get the best of us. I think that's what happened to him. I love the support John and his wife give Tyrese, and John taught his son old school basketball.
Yeah.
I think that's a great take. Magic Johnson nailed down the head.
Yeah. Anyway, I love seeing parents like supporting their kids.
I
and
will say,
but wow.
Giannis in his post-game press conferences, so funny.
Yeah.
Did you see that? They asked him last year,
I did.
Giannis, is this a failed season? And then he like went through this whole thing explaining how you can't call it a failed season.
Yeah.
And then just this year, the same reporter, as soon as the game's over, Giannis, is this a failed season? And he's like, I told you last year, man. This is not, you can't fail. It's no fail.
I did hear that. So just for the record, since his 21 season, he averaged that year 29.9 points, 11.6 rebounds.
In
2022, 31 points.
Garbage.
2023, 30 points.
Garbage.
2024, 30 points.
Garbage.
All seasons he was 11.
How many playoff wins?
How many
has
games
he
did you
had?
miss?
How many
games
playoff-
did you miss?
how
I'm
many-
just
how
saying.
many- how
I'm
many-
saying to say he's a bum.
How many championships has he gotten since 2021?
He got one, and he shouldn't have got that one that he got. To be honest with you, I thought Phoenix should have won that series. I'm just saying he's not been a bum.
Well, listen, when we
He's
say
been awesome.
bum,
You mean
I
awesome?
mean
world?
I specifically mean the NBA would have looked absolutely not different with him not in it.
Yeah, I think you get rid of Holiday and you get rid of some of your players, and you're not as good when you don't have as
Well,
good
no,
players.
all I'm saying is, okay, hear me out. You remove Giannis from the Bucks in the last 3 years. He could have been at home sleeping for the last 3 years. He would have never known.
I didn't even know the Bucks were like playing that good. Once I saw the playoff bracket, I was like, the Bucks are still winning games?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were still an organization.
Their move to get Damian Lillard really just destroyed them.
Lillard was a terrible decision.
Yeah.
Lillard literally went there and died.
Yeah.
Like physically
He
died.
was just starting. You could see it.
It's so
in
funny if
Portland.
you think about it, because like in Portland we're like, oh hell, Lillard, you know, and then he
Greatest,
gets,
and then he's like,
gets to the Bucks and they're like,
it was starting
who's
to happen.
this guy?
yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible decision. I mean, they went for it, but a terrible decision. Okay, in the NBA, last thing I want to talk about in the NBA, Greg Popovich had a stroke earlier this year, missed I think the last like 77 games. He's an all-time coach. He's retiring. He stepped up to the mic. I'm not been a Pop fan. Some of him I've actually really liked, and some I haven't liked. I don't like all the politics stuff. I think it hurts the NBA. But and at the beginning, I didn't like the way he did his interviews, where he was rude and obnoxious, and then it became really funny. His little at the end of the quarter when they'd ask him a question, he'd say, "Yeah, no." That's it. It became humorous. His players that play for him love him.
Yeah.
And he has been an all-time great coach. So where do you guys rank him for all-time coaches? There's been some awesome coaches. Where do you guys rate him? Cameron, I'll start with you.
I think if you asked me this question like 10 years ago, I would have said 1. But I think now I have to say 2.
Okay.
And I think the reason I have to say that is because I think Steve Kerr is going to have
Oh, wow. Okay.
a similar, if not better, career as a coach than he has.
Okay.
had.
He's got 5 versus 4, so they're
Yeah.
in that ranking. You know, Pop, I was never sure where he was at. With Tim Duncan, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Without Tim Duncan, he's been actually bad. It's not been good.
Yeah,
But
They had DeRozan.
Kawhi was
we had
there
the
at the
Kawhi
end. He
years.
was there at the end, but
They had to rebuild. Like, listen.
but it's been a long rebuild.
Yeah, but
Tim Duncan's been out of the league for
Hey,
a while.
Rome wasn't built in a day, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
listen,
Let's
rebuilding
be
in the
honest.
NBA, rebuilding in the NBA is 10 times harder than the NFL.
I'm not
Oh,
saying he's
yeah,
a bad coach
100%.
because I think he's one of the all-time greats. Where do you rank him? You say 2.
Yeah, I see 2.
Okay. Where do you put him?
3.
3.
Probably
And
3.
Who do you
Put
have?
Spolstra in front of him.
Who do you have?
You goober.
I love
Yeah.
Spoelstra actually, but
You
where do you
goober.
put the 2?
I have
above him?
Spolstra and
How
Kerr,
many
probably.
rings does
And
Spoelstra
Kerr?
have?
Yeah.
You have Kerr up there too.
Yes,
Okay.
I think Kerr is probably the best.
Listen, to be
NBA
honest with you,
This is
I
this is
don't-
what I love about this is it's an era thing.
yeah, this is what I will say though is like
We're
about
from
the
different
old.
eras, you know?
This is what I'll say about the old coaches though is like for the Bulls, for example, they had 2 separate coaches, right? For the 3 back-to-back. No, it was one coach the
It
whole
was all
time.
Phil Jackson.
It was all Phil Jackson.
He's
the whole
got
time.
11 rings.
He has 11.
11.
Who do you have his other rings with?
He's got 5 with the Lakers and he's got 6 with the Bulls.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's so many rings. Okay,
11.
he's the greatest.
11. It's hard
Yeah,
to
but
argue
he
that
has-
he's not.
He's with.
Okay, so the
The
thing
argument is he had Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he had Michael and Kobe
And
Shaq.
Kobe.
But
and Shaq.
but the
That's
argument
a pretty good argument.
3 of the
Yeah,
best
I mean, that's-
players of all time.
If you were to make a top 10, those players are not falling out of it for sure.
no,
he
those players have
Phil
their names
Jackson
etched in
Phil
every
Jackson
single top
is the
10.
hardest I think coach to rank because of that because he's had killer players.
Yeah.
However, before and after those players, the coaches couldn't succeed. It was until they got Phil Jackson. And same with the Lakers. And then the Lakers in the middle didn't do anything. When they got Phil Jackson back, they won a couple more rings. So Phil came in, won 3. They did nothing. He came back. They won 2 more. But
11 is a crazy
11
number.
is a dumb number. But, it is a dumb number. So it's anyway.
Just win 10, am I right?
10 looks better on paper.
Kerr has 4. Pop
don't
has
know.
5.
Pop is like,
I loved Riley.
I think this is the thing is Pop is he's old school coach and he coached in the new era. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like don't get me wrong, like Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra are good coaches. I don't know if they'd be my coaches.
Yeah.
I think I would have played for Pop.
Okay.
I think I like Pop a lot as
Okay.
far as like
I
his
play
coach,
for Kerr.
his old school coaching style.
I think I would want to play for Kerr right now.
Okay, so
the most.
who's your top 3?
My top 3 coaches?
Yeah.
I say it's hard to argue against 11. That's hard to argue for me.
Yeah.
So Phil Jackson, number 1. I have Pat Riley, number 2.
Pat Riley makes sense because he
and I would
won.
say
He
Pop
won as
number
a
3.
coach and a GM.
Yeah, and an assistant. He won as an assistant where he was early on the first year with the Lakers. Paul Westphal was the coach, and he doesn't get credit for that. He went to the Knicks and got him there. He went to Miami and got him there. Now, in Miami, they actually won. So I like Riley.
And what was your third one?
Pop.
I would say Pop.
Oh, okay.
I would say Pop. So congratulations, Pop. It's
I think
hard to see him. It was hard to see him in his interview. You could hardly hear him. He's getting help walking.
El Jefe.
I think
saw
what's
his
hard-
shirt. Yeah, his shirt.
I think what's hard about the NBA is like they move coaches in and out so quickly
Yeah.
that you see someone like Eric Spoelstra who hasn't had a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, the Miami Heat have made the playoffs in the last 10, 20 years like 7 or 8 times. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We made the finals like 7 or 8 times in the last 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Which is good. If you're an
It's
organization,
fantastic.
if you said, as you said, in the last 20 years, you're going to make it 8 of those times in
Yes.
the NBA finals,
Yes.
you're going to probably take that.
Absolutely.
Now, we've lost a lot of them.
That's okay though.
But
Win percentage
yeah.
is not there.
in the in-between times of those other 12 years were pretty rough, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, for the fact that, like, you never felt like Eric Spoelstra was ever even a question mark of leaving the Heat or being
Yeah.
fired
No, he's
tells you
legit.
what type of coach he is, right?
Yeah.
And, like, Steve Kerr, I don't know what they're going to do about him. He has such a weird arc because I don't know that we're going to be able to really rank Steve until Curry's gone.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, with Eric Spoelstra's seen a lot of different variations
Yes.
of a basketball team. With Steve Kerr, he's really only seen one at success.
Sometimes it's a match.
Yeah.
I think Magic was a great match for Riley. Work ethic and whatnot. And I think Steve Kerr is a great match for Curry. We have had a lot of tremendous coaches in this league.
Yeah.
And it's an argument that can go on. Maybe we'll do a Mount Rushmore coming up sometime. But we want to move on to what is the most difficult sport to master? And this is like a legitimate sport, okay? Who wants to go first with this?
I want you to go first.
Okay, I would say that the hardest sport to master would be baseball. And the reason I would say baseball, of all of the major sports, basketball, if you look at percentage and success rate and whatnot, you're in that mid range, that 40% to 50% range. Hitting a baseball, you have a ball coming at you at about 100 miles an hour. It's a small target. It's at a short distance. If you are an all-star, you will make the Hall of Fame if you average failing 7 out of 10 times. So because the failure rate is so high and you can still succeed, I say baseball overall. It's not necessarily the most athletic, can be, but I would say it's the hardest sport to master because of that. So
I feel like you just made a case for why it's the easiest sport to master because the failure rate is so high, anyone could do it.
no, anybody can fail, but to go up a percentage, to go up from let's say you're a 250 batting average to a 310 is so insanely difficult.
I
So
don't.
that's why.
I don't personally think
And it's
that
such
baseball,
a small ball coming at you so fast.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult. So that would be why I would say. What would be your sport?
I want Trent to go for next.
Okay, Trent, you're up. Have you thought of it? Do you
Yes.
know?
I know what Trent's answer is.
I know what Cameron's answer is too. I'll give some honorable mentions.
Okay.
My honorable mention would be MMA and gymnastics.
Oh, MMA.
I think MMA just because it's so taxing on the body.
Yeah.
It's not like a
That's a
long.
good call.
It's
I
not
didn't
like a
think of
long
MMA.
duration.
Yeah.
It's a very short spurted like fight for your life. And I think what's cool about MMA and it'd be really hard to master is the way that they operate. Like it's a lot of brain power. The one thing I'll say about baseball, just to like tag off. Sorry, you're not gonna like this.
That's okay.
Some of the best baseball players I knew growing up were all stupid. And I want to say that in like the nicest way manner. Like, listen,
Have you not talked
I
to
want to double down in a not nice way. I also had the same thing.
listen, I'm not saying that smart people didn't play baseball.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that for everyone out there that's going to be upset about my last comment.
I am.
All I'm saying is some of the best on the team I wouldn't take a math test with them.
No.
You know?
And you would with
I
all
would
the
never
football
ask for their answers.
linemen and stuff.
Linemen. Hey,
Listen, linemen are
Defense-
smart
hey,
people.
Defensive linemen.
Some of the
I can-
smartest people I know played on that line.
Yeah.
They can do it in all sports, but there's also a lot of defensive
Yeah,
linemen.
but
Blah, 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 blah.
Statistically, baseball.
Don't,
I
don't
feel
get
like-
me. Hey, listen, don't get me fired up because I'll start saying names.
What does IQ?
And I'm gonna start hurting some feelings.
What does IQ? It's talking about the toughest sport to master.
Yes, and when I
Yes.
think of master sport, I'm thinking high brain power, high brain
So
activity.
I like your MMA because MMA involves physical
yeah.
and it involves
Mental.
mental. It's
Yeah.
both.
But that's
that's a really good one. I didn't think of that.
Was that?
You're only talking about like the IQ at a high school level, not like.
Oh, I,
Oh,
yeah,
like,
I know.
it carries.
It carries for sure.
You guys
I
are-
feel like you get
Listen,
you get beat
Drew,
by a couple
Drew
balls.
forgets I went to a school with a college baseball team. Okay, I also hung out with those college baseball players.
But your school didn't have a football team because
Let's-
there was not
let's
enough
just say-
smart people to
let's
put
just say
together.
the tutor,
That's literally how that went. Yeah,
The
but there was
tutor
enough
room-
dumb people to fill a baseball team.
the tutor room was just the baseball players.
Yeah.
You're off on a topic that we're not talking about.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
Okay, we didn't say.
Honorable
this-
mention.
this applies.
Honorable mention MMA and gymnastics. The only other reason I'd put gymnastics in there is I think it's just like
Okay.
I think it veers.
Gymnastics, that's another good
I
one.
think it veers towards the idea of like maybe it's a sport like I was kind of talking to Cameron about maybe it's a sport that less people can really like be involved in because
Yeah.
gymnastics maybe isn't offered everywhere.
Yeah.
So that maybe removes it a little bit. But I
Yeah.
think at the very highest level of
Yeah.
gymnastics, like the master that is insane.
That's true. And you win by 0.1.
But-
it's like insane.
My pick
Oh.
for the hardest sport. Those are just my honorable mentions.
Oh, I liked them.
It's golf.
Georgia,
Golf.
Georgia.
Georgia.
Golf is hard.
I just think it's golf, and the reason why I think it's golf
Golf's a good one. I
is
had them up
I
there.
think it's one of the very few sports where you could be the greatest of a generation and easily, and when I say easily, I mean easily lose a match.
Yeah.
Like Tiger Woods, for example, right? There was a stretch of time where Tiger Woods was extremely dominant.
Yeah.
But you never went into a golf match betting your house on Tiger winning. Even though he was dominant for years, he was dominant for years. You would never have bet your house on Tiger winning a match because golf is so unpredictable. And literally a matter of feet on a golf ball that you're smacking with a tiny club could cost you the whole thing.
Yeah.
Tiger, when he was in his heyday, was the first time they were making bets that was Tiger versus
The
the rest.
Yeah.
So he was that closest guy to. He was the
And
closest
then-
guy to that.
And then
Yeah, golf
he
is a good
sang
one. That was an honorable
He sang the
mention for me.
alphabet backwards and has not been the same since.
You want to talk about intelligence?
I
If
got
you
that
understand-
reference.
If you understand what
Yes,
I'm referencing,
yes.
that's very funny.
Yes.
You said not to sing the national anthem backwards.
So you have you have people at all sports. You need to listen to some John Daly interviews. And then you'll-
Love me
then
some
you-
John
Then you'll
Daly.
get some intelligence. But
Oh,
I feel
I
like
love me some John
I
Daly.
want to hear Cameron.
I
what
feel like
your thoughts
every
are.
year, John Daly just randomly pops up on my social media
Oh, yeah.
feed,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like him doing something with like 20-year-old women, and
Oh,
I'm
it's
like,
so
oh
bad. That
my
guy-
gosh!
that guy
But
is-
it's like once a year, he just comes out of nowhere on my Instagram
He
page. or
looks
something.
like he's 25 years older than he actually is. I mean, he has lived a hard life.
Hey,
Anyway,
if all I got to do was drink beer and play golf,
Yeah.
I'd look the same.
he
And I
looks,
would absolutely love my life.
John Daly looks like the guy that would have invented cornhole.
I'm pretty sure he is like a co-founder of cornhole. Okay.
Go ahead.
My sports, I'm going to do an honorable mentions as well. I have an honorable mention of golf
Yeah, I think golf is a good
because
sport.
I think, like he was saying, there's so minimal margins of error
Mm-hmm.
that can either throw your game way off or put you in the prime position. Another honorable mention that I have that you probably didn't think about is chess. Chess, I think by far is one of the hardest sports ever intellectually. The range of skill is just astronomical, and only few players get to that point of top, you know.
What's it called when you're a chess master? There's a name for it.
I don't like the terms that they use because it sounds like a clan.
Yeah, it's like clan names.
It's a Grand Wizard.
Grand Wizard.
Yeah, it's Grandmaster.
Grandmaster.
I just think of Grand Wizard, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan of the terms that they use.
They also look at the thing and they're seeing 4 or 5 steps ahead, and they're like,
seeing,
boom, boom.
Yeah, they're
like,
million miles ahead.
Yeah.
They've already won the game in their head.
Yeah.
They just have to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that just to me
All
is
right.
just
So
insane.
what else do you have?
My number one hardest sport ever is F1.
I so knew that.
F1 is the.
You said no to okay.
No, you
That's
said
not
NASCAR.
Oh, I did.
You
say
said
That
NASCAR.
is
it's
very
not even
different.
close to the same.
You're not even.
My bad.
That
my
is
bad. You're
crazy.
Right.
Okay.
You're right. You're right.
Formula One is
You're in a car.
the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of drivers in the world. The drivers that drive in F1 are the epitome of racing and the epitome of they have the best reflexes on
Oh, their reflexes are
to
insane.
anyone on the entire planet.
Yeah.
They're driving a car
200
that is about a foot off the ground,
Not even that.
going
Inches.
200 miles an hour, and they are making tiny adjustments in milliseconds of milliseconds.
People have no idea how hard that is.
They face G-forces at
Yeah.
the same level that fighter pilots do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the
There
G
was-
forces
there
would
was-
knock the average person out.
So there was a crash last season at the Las Vegas race. Lando Norris hit a wall, like straight on, head on. He, I'm fairly certain, don't quote me on the number, but he faced G-forces of like up to, I believe it was like 14 or 18 Gs.
Jeez.
Like it was just insane. And he walked away.
Yeah.
Like people die
Yeah.
racing F1.
Yeah.
And it is to me the most skillful sport ever. And there's a reason there's only 16 people on the grid. There's a reason there's only 16 people that get to drive those cars.
So
It's because you have to earn that spot through multiples of different leagues before you even get the chance to sit in that car.
They
And then
talk
at that
about-
point, you have to still compete against the best of the best who are also in those cars to even get a spot, towards the top.
Well, you're also dealing with life and death is an inch away.
Oh,
every
absolutely.
time. And then I also heard, because I never really understood this until I had a friend of mine that was heavy into racing,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about how insanely hot it is in
Yeah.
those cars.
They-
They sweat like there's nobody in any of these sports that we mention will lose as much fluid
Yeah.
as these guys do. And you're thinking they're just sitting in a car.
No,
Yeah.
the F1 racers have specialty suits that they have made now because they have problems with cooling. They have specialty suits that run water through their entire bodies
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah. It's
Do
and,
you know,
and-
like, you know how, like, when you go to run, like, a marathon, like, the day before you have to, like, eat certain foods and you hydrate in a certain manner?
yeah.
Like, they do that to, like, the next level.
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah.
make, like, marathon runners look like idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're taking in, like, fuel all day long
Yeah.
to
I have-
basically prepare them for the race.
I have
next day.
another honorable mention that I just thought about that I forgot about. Bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding. That is a 365, 24 hours a day. There is no breaks. There is no time off. There is no margin of error.
Yeah.
And although it's not the most intense sport, it is one of the most meticulous sports because they are judged on the way that their body looks.
Yeah.
And you are sculpting yourself to look a certain way. And if you want to be the best, you have to not take a single day off.
I will say
Yeah.
the idea, like, the sculpting yourself is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate, again, all the support. If you like what you hear, we had a lot of fun tonight talking about a whole bunch of things. But if you like it, please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate everything you have, and we will see you next time on the podcast, and we'll see where the NBA goes from here. Thanks for joining us.
Dubs.